Do you ever feel that no matter how much you stretch your hip flexors, they still feel so tight? Sitting in stretches passively for hours on end is not going to give you that hip flexor flexibility that you desire. If you want more flexible hip flexors, then you need these three things: stronger hip flexors, a stronger butt, and better technique in your stretches. I'm going to take you through a short routine today that's going to cover those three things and help get you the flexy hip flexors that you desire. But first, let me just explain why strengthening is just as important as stretching. When your nervous system detects any instability or weakness around a joint, it sends signals to the surrounding muscles of that joint to tighten up. It basically puts on the brakes and says, nope, I don't feel safe here, we're not going to stretch any further, which is the opposite of what you want when we're trying to develop our flexibility. So if all you do is keep stretching, and more stretching, you're not solving that original instability or weakness issue around that joint. So training for flexibility is as much about training that length of the muscle, so those stretches, as it is about calming that nervous system response down. So when you do try and get that little bit deeper in your stretches, that nervous system doesn't put those brakes on so early and allows you to go deeper into those stretches. All right, let's get into your hip flexor flexibility routine, but please just make sure you've done a 5 to 10 minute cardio warm up first, and then you can come join me down on the mat. For today's routine, you're just going to need a chair or a wall to hold on to, a booty band, and also a couple of yoga blocks. But we're going to start first on our back, and we're going to start with warming up our butt. So you're going to place the band on to just above those knees, and we're going to lower down into one of my favorite exercises, a glute bridge. So you're going to have your feet just where you can reach your fingertips so that your ankle is directly underneath your knee. Then from here, it's important we keep those knees nice and open as we scoop those hips all the way up to the top, big squeeze through the booty, and then lower back down. And we are going to aim for about 20, so big scoop up, squeezing through the underbutt and lowering back down. Now it's really important in this one that we don't lift up with an arch through the lower back. You're going to try and tuck that tailbone around. So I'm imagining that I'm trying not to direct my wee forwards, I'm trying to tilt my pelvis, so tuck my tailbone around and direct my wee upwards towards the roof, while also keeping my knees open into the band the entire time. So it's a big scoop, rolling up each individual vertebrae, making sure I feel my booty squeeze, and then lower back down to the floor. I'm also making sure that my shoulders are staying down away from my ears, so they're not tucked up here. I'm trying to keep tension out of those shoulders and just focusing it through the booty. Trying to embrace my booty burn. So you're rolling up each individual vertebrae and keeping those knees as open as we can. Again, big squeeze through the booty, allowing those hip flexors to open up and lowering back down. I'm pretty sure I'm at about number 10, so I'm going to go for another 10, keeping knees wide. And again, big exhale as we scoop all the way up. Really pressing through the heels and just keeping an eye that those heels haven't slid away from you. Make sure you can just reach them with those fingertips. A big squeeze, big scoop, embracing any booty burn that we're feeling. So just making sure you're actually feeling it on the butt and not too much the tops of those legs. If you're feeling it through the tops of those legs, you'll probably find you're not scooping those hips around enough. And really engaging through the core, so tucking that tummy in can really help with this scoop. Let's go for a hold. So we're going to hold this one up as high as we can, and we're going to hold for 30 seconds. Now keep your knees pushing out into the band, really squeeze your booty up, and make sure you feel both sides of your butt, not one side more than the other. And we're going to keep holding, again, embracing that booty burn, spreading those knees as wide open as we can. I'm going to keep an eye on that timer. Nearly through that 30 seconds, big squeeze up as high as you can. About 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lower back down. I'm going to make you do one more set of that. So we're going to roll the hips up, squeeze the booty, and lower back down 20 times. So I actually want you to imagine your favorite flavor of ice cream, and you're going to scoop those hips all the way up to the top. Big squeeze through your under butt, keeping those knees nice and wide, making sure those feet are in just where you can reach them with those fingertips. And big exhale on the way up, keeping it nice and slow and controlled, making sure those knees are open at the top, and we're reaching as much height as we can through those hips. Big squeeze. Big tuck in through that tummy. And this one's halfway for me, so I'm going to go for another 10 after this. Big exhale up. Inhale to lower back down. Ooh, my booty is on fire. And just keeping those shoulders down away from those ears for me. About 5 more, keeping these open. And then this one, we're going to hold for those 30 seconds. So holding up as high as you can, tilting that tailbone around, pushing those knees nice and wide, squeezing the booty up, embracing this butt burn. Just keep imagining those flexible hip flexors in the distance as we try really hard to push through this butt burn. Keep pushing up really high. Less than 10 seconds to go. We've got about 5 seconds. Big squeeze up, making sure both sides are even. And lowering back down. From here, we're going to roll onto our side and we're going to go for some clamshells. So we're going to focus on our side butt muscle now, our glute medius. So my feet are on the same line as my spine and I'm not going to let this bit dip. You want to lengthen long, keep that little side of your waist up off the floor. So you can literally fit your hand between the bottom side of your torso and the floor. I'm going to press my heels into each other, open the knee and lower back down. I'm going to go for 20. So big exhale as I open, inhale as I lower. And I'm going to imagine that I have a glass of wine sitting on top of my hip and I don't want it to fall off. So I'm not going to rotate backwards as I open up through that knee. I'm going to keep that glass of wine balanced. I'm going to keep both hip bones stacked on top of each other. And again, big exhale as I open, focusing through my side butt. And then lowering back down. Now, sometimes people find that they can feel their hip flexor in this one. So the hip flexor is overcompensating for their butt. A few things that can help, just make sure you're not tucked under through your butt because that can cause your hip flexor to overactivate. Instead, think about sticking that booty out a little bit more behind. And then just making sure you're not caved in through that top side. So lengthening as long as we can through the top side of that torso. And then you might find you just need to completely relax off at the bottom, everything, then re-squeeze your butt to reopen. I'm only going to do about 4 more, and that should be approximately 20 there. Again, big exhale as that knee opens. 1, beautiful. And then this one I'm going to be mean. We're going to hold it up, opening the knee wide. You're going to kick 12 times. So I'm going to kick 1. This one's tough, but stick with me. 2. Squeeze that knee, keep your knee up at the top of the clamshell. Don't let it fall close, keep it up. 3, 4, all energy to the booty. 5, 6, nearly there. 7, keep core on strong. 8, squeezing that quad. 9, 10, 2 more. 11, and 12. Ooh, those ones kill the butt. All right, let's move on to our third side butt exercise for this side. We're going to bring our knees up to 90 degrees. So I've literally now got my knee in line with my hip. Check on that because some people put their knees too low. Bring it up in line with your hips. And then I'm going to make sure my feet are directly under my knees. From here, I'm going to press my heels into each other, open the knee for 20 and lower back down. So I'm pressing my heels into each other. Same as my other clamshell, I'm making sure that I don't rotate backwards. So I'm going to balance my glass of wine because I want to drink it later. I'm also going to make sure that my hip doesn't cave in. I'm going to lengthen long. So both sides of my torso are even. One side's not more crunched up than the other. And pressing my heels more than my toes into each other. Big exhale as you open. And this one should be a little bit more in your under butt than your side butt. So this is about halfway for me, so I'm going to go for another 10. Pressing those heels hard into each other. Again, big exhale as we open through the knee. And again, just imagining all those flexible hip flexors. About 5 more. Booty burn is real. Final 2. 1. All right, let's change sides. So laying down on the other side, making sure that your feet are on the same line as your spine. So we're going to start with our 45-degree clamshell first. Going for 20, press the heels into each other, open the knee, and then lower back down. Making sure that we keep the hips stacked, so I'm not rotating backwards. I'm also not tucking my tailbone under. I'm trying to stick that booty out. Making sure I'm not caved in through the top side of my torso. I'm lengthening long, so I'm pushing that hip bone away and just using my breathing to help. So exhale, open, squeeze the booty. Inhale, lower back down. Second side's always a bit tough because that first side's generally still really sore. But we're going to try really hard to keep pushing through. Big exhale as we open, inhale as we lower back down. So I'm already at number 10, so just 10 more to go. And big exhale, open. All energy to that booty. Trying really hard to press your heels into each other rather than those toes. Staying nice and strong. All right, this is number 20, so let's go for the hold. Hold this one open. We're going to kick 12 times. You've got to keep your knee wide and don't fall backwards. 2, 3, doing well. 4, keep knee up. 5, 6, 7, oh my butt. 8, 9, 3 more. 10, 11, final one, 12. Whew, give that a second to decramp. And then we're going to do the final clamshell on this side. We're going to bring those knees up to 90 degrees like you're sitting on a chair. So again, knees should be the same height as your hip. They should be aligned. Feet should also be aligned with your knees, not in too close, out too far away, directly under the knees. Press the heels in, open, lower back down. We're going for 20. Focusing through your underbutt. So make sure you lengthen long and you're sticking that booty out behind. And again, going for that full 20. Big exhale, open. This is number 10. And just remember, we're trying to balance that glass of wine on that hip and we're not going to let it fall off. So you need to keep that pelvis super steady. You know, just like hold my hand here. I like to pay, well, it's good feedback for what's going on. Making sure my pelvis is staying super steady. Let's do 2 more. Big exhale up. And 1. All right, well done. Bringing it up to standing now, we're going to do a short sequence to help you get those hip flexors a little bit stronger. You're going to need your booty band first and a chair or a wall to hold onto. And I'm going to place the band around my feet. I do suggest doing this one with like a medium to heavier band rather than a light one for a bit more of a challenge. And then from here, planting both feet, I'm going to make sure I stand up nice and tall. I'm going to pick that knee up, bring it as close, like as high as I can. So I'm trying to aim knee to chest. Lower down, and I'm going to go for 10 on my left. So lift, hold, lower back down. And you can do this one facing the wall as well. And we're just going to go for 10. Big lift. And I'm staying nice and strong through my standing leg so it's not caving and my butt's not tucking. As soon as my butt tucks, I'm using my abs. Sit up nice and tall. And just focusing on trying to feel that activation through that hip flexor. So I'm at number 7, big exhale as you lift, inhale as you lower. 8, staying up nice and tall. 9, and then we're going to hold up number 10. So you're going to hold and you're going to pulse up 10 times. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Return, and we're going to do the other side. So again, I'm going to lift and lower down, making sure my butt doesn't tuck. Lift, lower down. And just focusing on getting those hip flexors nice and strong. And making sure my pelvis doesn't tuck. I'm staying up nice and tall. And just aiming for those 10. And you're going to hold the next one. This is number 10. So we're going to hold and you're going to pulse for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. You can pop that band to the side for now. And then we're just going to face forwards and we're going to do some straight-legged lifts. So again, you can hold onto a wall or a chair like me. You're going to straighten the outside leg and you're going to squeeze both quads really straight. From here, we're going to squeeze, give the leg a bit of external rotation, lift as high as you can with control, and then lower back down. So squeeze, again, my knee's not turned in, it's turned out, and lower back down. We're going for 10. Now just keep an eye that as you lift, your butt doesn't tuck under. Keep that spine neutral. As I tuck, I use my abs. As I stand up nice and tall, keep my pelvis neutral. I'm going to use my hip flexors. Also just making sure we don't hoik one hip up higher than the other. Keep that pelvis level. We're not using the side abs. I'm trying to use my hip flexor. And then you're going to hold. So you're going to hold this one for 10, 9, squeeze through the bottom leg, don't cave. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lower down. Ooh, that's hard. And then I'm going to take that leg from straight forward now out to the side, and we're going to do the same thing. Lift for 10. I'm just out on a 45-degree angle. So squeezing both knees straight, you're going to lift for 1. With control, no swinging allowed. 2, keeping both legs straight, even that standing leg. 3, and just focusing on the hip flexor. So remember, no lifting through the side abs. We're going to control, keep both hip bones level, and really working that hip flexor. Nice and controlled. All right, let's go for that 10-second hold on this side. So lift for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower back down. Whew. It's definitely my weaker side, that one. Let's try the other side. So again, we're going to start with our straight leg first, keeping even that standing leg as straight as we are that top leg. I want you to squeeze them so straight that they're like uncooked pieces of spaghetti, not cooked pieces. So leg out straight, slight bit of external rotation. We're not going to let pelvis tuck, we're going to keep it neutral. And we're going to take that exhale as we lift. Focusing on that hip flexor and control. Don't rush, no swinging. Doesn't count. I'd rather you get that leg lower and do it with more control. You're going to get much more out of the exercise. 9, and then you're going to hold this one. So hold, squeeze those knees really straight. Keep holding for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lower down. Last one for this side, you're going to take that leg out on a 45-degree angle. Stay tall, keep that pelvis neutral, and we're going to keep that knee rotating up. So this one's not a side lift. Rotate, external rotation, 10 times. Lift, lower down. Try not to lean into the wall of the chair either. Control. Four. Control on the way down as well, so take it really slow. Control the drop. 7. 3 more, and then we'll go for the hold. 8. 9. Let's go for that hold. Ready? Hold. 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2, 1. Well done. Ooh, give them a second to decramp, and then we're going to move on to some stretches. So first up, we're going to step forward into a long lunge position. And from here, I'm going to tuck my toes under. Now, it's important when we're in this position, we don't just arch through the back and drop down like so. All that's doing is just putting a lot of pressure down my lower back and not actually stretching my hip flexor at all. Instead, come out of the stretch, tuck your tailbone under, and we hold that there by squeezing our under bum and engaging through that pelvic floor. So keeping both hips facing forwards, I'm squeezing my under bum really hard. I'm going to sneak forwards as deep as I can. Don't lean forwards, keep your chest up, and don't wing your hips open to the side. I'm going to keep trying to pull the hip of my back leg forward to face, square. So really square hips, like I've got a set of car headlights on my hips and they're just facing forwards. Again, I'm not leaning forwards. Keep chest up nice and tall. We're going to tuck the back toe under and I'm going to try and kick back through my heel and lower back down. So trying not to go up and down, keep the tailbone tucked. So, and I also don't want to do this. Keep at the depth that you're at as we kick back through the heel, lower back down to the floor. So you want to try and squeeze that back knee as straight as you can and really squeeze the under butt of that back leg. Now when you think you're straight, pause for a second, see if you can straighten some more. You'll be surprised how much more you can get out of that leg. Big kick through the heel and lower down. About 2 more. And then this one, you're going to hold. So kick back through the heel, hold. Tuck your tailbone under, chest up tall, make sure you haven't leant forward. Keep both hips facing forwards and we're just going to pulse. Small little pulses, controlled, don't bounce it. 2, and then hold as deep as you can, keeping that chest up tall, squeeze your under butt, try and tuck that tailbone under, and then we're going to lower the knee down to the floor and just hold a bit of an easier lunge than that one. Tuck the tailbone under, really squeeze through your under bum and keep that chest up as tall as we can. And remember, don't wing open, don't unsquare your hips. Pull the hip of your back leg around to face forwards, making sure your knee stays on top of your ankle. And I'm constantly trying to pull my tailbone through my legs. And I squeeze my under bum to try and sink as deep as I can. And then we're going to go for some butt kicks. So with my back leg, 10 times, I'm going to try and kick my butt and release back down. Again, 10 times. Now, if it's a bit painful on your knee, don't stress about straightening all the way to the floor. Just go to where you can, or just put some extra cushions under that knee. So right now, we're just actively stretching it out just a little bit deeper. And then on number 10, we're going to catch and hold. So you're going to bring that foot in towards your butt. I'm going to reach around, grab for the inside of my foot and pull it in. As I pull it in, I'm not going to let my butt come out of the stretch. We're going to sink down really low. And you'll also notice I grab the inside, not the outside. When I grab the outside, it's easy to unsquare. When I grab the inside, I can really push that hip around and square it off. But really pulling it into my butt, keeping those hips sinking down low, keeping chest up tall, and I haven't stopped squeezing my under butt. It's squeezing very hard to try and keep that tailbone tucking. I'm just going to hold just for a little bit longer, nearly there. Big breath in, big breath out to try and sink as deep as you can. And then we're gently going to release that foot back out. Let's repeat those on the other side. So I'm going to step forward with my left foot, tucking my back toe under, keeping my pelvis tucked, and I'm going to keep the hip of my back leg pulling around to face forwards. Knee is on top of ankle, chest is up tall. I'm going to kick through my back heel and lower back down. Squeeze the under butt, kick, straighten, lower back down. Remember, we're trying not to go up and down. We're trying to stay at the depth we're at as we kick and lower back down. Just 10 times. 4. This is hard work. Flexibility really is a workout. I wouldn't call it relaxing. Squeeze the under butt. Keeping that pelvic floor on. And then this one's number 10. So I'm going to kick back, hold. Squeeze the under butt. Some small little pulses. Controlled. Don't bounce. And then hold as deep as you can, lowering down. Squeeze the under butt. Hold for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower that knee down to the floor. Now don't completely relax. It is a bit easier, I know, but don't completely relax. Squeeze your under butt, tuck the tailbone under, hip of that back leg pulling around to face forwards. And squeeze your butt. It can be quite hard to squeeze your butt when you're in a deep stretch, but keep practicing, keep fighting with it until it stays on because it does get easier. It does become a little bit more of a habit. So keep checking on it. Might keep relaxing off, but re-squeeze it. Keep fighting with it until it stays on. And then we're going to go for our butt kicks. So I'm going to squeeze my heel in towards my butt. Release 10 times. Now as it comes up, don't let your butt sneak backwards. You've got to keep your butt lowering down into that stretch. Both hips facing forwards. Chest up tall. And I'm squeezing my underbutt. Now again on number 10, this is 10 for me now. We're going to hold it in, reach around, grab the inside of the foot, yank it in. Make sure you don't come out of the stretch. You've got to hold it down low. And we're going to hold as deep as we can, squeezing through the underbutt. It's quite a deep stretch, I know. If you can't reach for your foot, you can tie like a resistance band around and yank it in that way. I didn't grab one handy before starting the video, but you can do so. Maybe I'll cut an example in. Nearly there, squeezing through the underbutt. Big breath in, big breath out. Now you don't want to hold your breath when you stretch because it will tighten up your muscles. You got to remember to find a bit of calm in the mind and just big breath in, big breath out to try and sink. But let's slowly release that leg back out, squeezing through the underbum, and we'll return up out of that stretch. This next one can get a little bit intense. I'm going to place my knee up as close into the wall as I can. And then from there, you can place your hands on the floor and step the other foot forward. From there, bringing your hands up onto your knee, and we're going to try and tuck the tailbone under. So no arching allowed, no sticking the booty out. Tuck your tailbone under. And we get that by squeezing the underbutt and engaging through the pelvic floor. From there, I'm going to push back into the wall. We're going to hold here for a minute, and you should get a nice big stretch down your quads. Really try and think about pressing your lower back into the wall, not just arching back. Whoops. Try and hold your balance, not just arching back through my head. So tucking the tailbone under, pushing back into the wall, and just trying to take a few deep breaths. So big breath in, big breath out to try and stretch that little bit deeper. And we should get a nice stretch through those quads. And remember, don't hold your breath. It does work against you. Your muscles will tighten. And we also want to keep active. So I'm not just completely relaxing. I am squeezing the underbutt of my back leg. And making sure I don't have one hip that's higher than the other. So I'm really trying to level those hips out. We got about 10 more seconds before we step into our second stretch for this sequence. Big breath in, big breath out. And then I'm going to move into the next exercise. So I'm going to step forward, sink my booty down as far away from that foot as I can, while also keeping that pelvis tucked under. So really squeezing through the underbutt. And we are holding here for a minute as well. Now don't unsquare yourself. Keep that hip of your back leg pulling around to face forwards, pelvis tucking and hips level. Remembering to breathe, so big breath in, big breath out to try and sink deeper. Working the underbutt hard. And we're going to make it through this minute. Keep chest up, don't fold forward. So if you are using blocks, make sure that you step them back next to your hips. And keeping chest nice and tall, nice and open. And we're nearly there. Slowly allowing yourself to sink deeper as you feel ready. Big breath in, big breath out to try and sink deeper. Last 4 seconds. All right, let's come out of that one. And we're going to do one more on this side before we swap sides. So I'm going to grab one of my blocks and I'm going to place that block the whole length of my foot away from the wall. So again, that's the whole length of my foot away from the wall. From there, I'm going to place that same back leg up, knee in the center of the block so it doesn't fall off, toes flexed up the wall. And this stretch is pretty deep, so take it easy. I'm going to tuck my tailbone under, sneak forwards into that long lunge position, keeping my chest up nice and tall. Again, both hips square facing forwards, and I'm squeezing the underbutt of my back leg, keeping those toes flexed and sitting up nice and tall. Big breath in, big breath out to try and sink. And then just for 10 counts, we're going to reach for the inside of that foot, pull it in. It's going to burn. I know. Just as you pull it in, don't let your butt come out of the stretch. Keep it sinking down, and we're going to pull it in for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Keep chest up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release those toes back to the wall, and we should now be able to sink a little bit deeper. And keeping chest up tall, both hips facing forward, and we're going to do one more thing before we move on to the other side. So we're going to go for some P&F. So with my P&F, I'm going to kick my back toe into the wall as hard as I can. So you're going to kick really hard. As I kick, you should feel like your hip flexor and your quad are activating. So it's like I'm trying to kick the wall over. And then I'm going to take a big exhale, relax, and try and sink deeper into the stretch. Now I'm not completely relaxing off. I am trying to squeeze the underbutt of my back leg and constantly trying to stay as square as possible. And then we're going to do that little push one more time. So final time, you're going to kick those toes into the wall as hard as you can for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, relax, sink a little bit deeper. Now as you get deeper, just keep an eye. You might need to step this foot forward. Remember, we want to try and keep this knee on top of that ankle. Those hip flexors should be feeling pretty open now. Big breath in, big breath out to try and sink a little bit deeper. And then we'll move on and just repeat these on the other side. So we are nearly there, friends. So first stretch we're going to do on the other side. I am going to bring my knee in close to the wall. And then from there, hands down, I'm going to step the opposite foot up and lift that chest up nice and tall. Again, don't arch, keep that tailbone tucked, and we're going to hold here for a whole minute, pressing that lower back in towards the wall. And both hips facing forwards, both hip bones nice and level. Squeeze your underbutt, big breath in, big breath out to try and sink deeper. And this should be targeting my quad. If your quads are really tight, it's really hard to get your hip flexor to release or to actually feel your hip flexor stretching in a lot of your deeper hip flexor stretches. So it is important that we do release this quad, and then you'll find you'll drop a lot deeper into those long lunge stretches. But we are past halfway in this one, so see if you can take a big breath in, big breath out to try and sink deeper into that stretch. And we're always trying to press that lower back into the wall, not just arch back. Only got like 10 more seconds on this one before we step forward into that longer lunge position. All right, let's start to step forward into that long lunge position. Bringing that foot away, bring your butt away from that foot. Both hips pulling to face forward. We're going to keep that chest up nice and tall. Big squeeze through the underbutt. And the more you tuck the tailbone under, the more you should feel that hip flexor stretch. If you are on blocks like me right now, you can just try and keep them back next to your hips, not forwards. Your hip flexor attaches quite high up your spine. So if I do this one folded forward, I'm going to be shortening my hip flexor, not stretching it. So chest up really tall so that we can actually stretch that hip flexor, tucking your tailbone under, squaring off. Big breath in, big breath out to try and sink as deep as we can. I'm still trying to fight with your butt. Keep squeezing it. Don't forget about your butt. I'm always thinking about your butt, so keep squeezing your butt. Last 5 seconds here. Sink as low as you can. And then we got one more to do on this side. So I'm going to place the block the length of my foot away from the wall. And then we're going to place that knee in the center of the block so that I don't fall over. Toes flexed up the wall. Now this one's pretty advanced, so if it is a bit too intense, that's okay. You can skip this one for now and just work your way up to it. So tuck your tailbone under, both hips facing forward as I sink as low as I can, keeping this knee on top of my ankle, chest up tall. And I don't really want to feel this through my lower back. So if you're feeling it through your lower back, come out of it a bit, tuck that tailbone under. Keeping chest up tall, both hips facing forwards. And we're gonna go for that really intense quad stretch first. I'm gonna reach around, grab the inside of my foot, yank it in, and we're gonna count down for 10, 9, keep your hips down in the stretch, 7, chest up, 6, square off, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Woo, release those toes back to the wall. Now just sinking down, you should feel like there's more space to get a little bit lower now. Big breath in, big breath out to sink. And then we're gonna go for some of that P and F. So you're gonna kick your toes into the wall with me now, as hard as you can, like you're trying to kick the wall over. Big kick, keep kicking, and big exhale, relax. Try sink a bit deeper into the stretch. And just relaxing here for a little bit before we do it one more time. All right, last time, kick those toes into the wall again as hard as you can. For 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stop kicking, exhale, relax, try sink a bit deeper. Pulling both hips around to face forwards. And keeping that chest up nice and tall. If you did enjoy this video, please give it the thumbs up and make sure that you subscribe to my channel. And if you gave all these exercises a go, please let me know how you went with them in the comments below, or if you have any future requests for videos. But happy stretching, friends!